Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market. Pretty wild day, so we'll definitely have a lot to talk about, I'm sure. But as usual, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. Again, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And my membership section is live for $2.99 a month. Right, you get access to all my thoughts intraday that I pretty much share as Tesla moves. Pretty important information, at least sometimes I believe it is usually, right? Dangerous spot here on Tesla, crossing below the teal line I talked about, posting all these things like this, right? Talking about, 265 is an important place to retest. And if it fails, then, it can continue going down. And that's essentially exactly what happened. You can see here, right? That's when I tweeted it, came back up, retested it pretty much exactly on the dot, and then we fell back down. The link is down below if you're interested. If not, it's all good. But let's move into it. Tesla finally having a pretty red day. I mean, it's a pretty red market day in general. It's not just Tesla, of course, but nonetheless, Tesla still having a pretty red day. Definitely underperforming the market, I would even say. QQQ down only not only 1.4%, but relative to Tesla, only 1.4%. So definitely a bit of an underperformance. But let's go over it and let's figure out what is happening. And this, I'm not gonna lie, not very good looking two candles over here. So there's two, in my opinion, actually three major things to talk about, right? Actually maybe even four. We have the RSI to talk about. We have the candle pattern to talk about, the teal line to talk about, and there was one more thing that I am completely forgetting as of right now that I'll probably get to as I really just get on with the video. So the first and foremost, right, let's talk about the teal line. So pretty much this teal line I've been talking about for, a very, very long time, right? Very long time. And I said pretty much as long as Tesla doesn't break below this teal line, technically it's still, short-term bullish. And that's been pretty much the case. Now, obviously, I have no issues admitting I did call the top maybe once or twice already, and I was obviously wrong about that, right? But today, or I guess yesterday is when I called it, this is a very important area, potentially like an absolute like final boss resistance coming up. We actually touched it, by the way, very important. This is something I'm sure a lot of people will forget. They're like, oh wait, but we didn't go to 280. What are you talking about, right? You said 280. Well, we actually did. It's just unfortunately we went to it pre-market. You can see right here, pretty much in the morning, we went to it pretty much almost exactly on the dot, 279.7 pretty much on the dot, right? Almost 280. And sometimes when it goes to pre-market, that sometimes counts, right? It sometimes actually does count. So you always want to make sure you kind of double check pre-market if there's some volatile movement, because sometimes that does count, right? I'm a little bit surprised we didn't come back up to retest it pretty much as the market opened. I actually thought as market opened, we'll come back up one more time to this level, retest it, pre-market level, and then just completely collapse from there. But instead, we just straight up collapsed pretty much right away. Now, what does this mean, right? So again, we broke below the teal line now that we finally did officially break below it on the 1 hour, and we actually came back up and retested it, which is exactly what I talked about in this post right here. We can still go back up to around 265 to retest the breakdown, but in theory, this should be the start, right? And I tweeted that on this candle, you can see. Right on this red candle. Came back up right after, pretty much exactly to retest it. You can see this line did not move. It's pretty much been like this the whole time. Pretty much came back up exactly to retest it. And this time, obviously, the retest was successful, which is good for the bears, bad for the bulls. And we continued going back down. Now, there is still a saving grace for the bulls, and the fact that, we're holding pretty much around this 260-ish level is still a saving grace. And the reason I say that is because you can see, actually, I'll even put the line here to make it more obvious, but you can see right around this line right here, give or take, of course, right now, it's not obviously perfect, but, somewhere around this general line right here, we got several rejections, and then we acted as a support, and we came back down, and we did actually bounce off of this level again. So we are bouncing off of a old resistance, now turned support. So that is actually a little bit of a potential still saving grace. The bulls still, in my opinion, actually have a chance, but there are quite a lot of bearish indicators right now. So again, the first and foremost, of course, we broke down below the teal line, retested it successfully, which again confirms, at least in my eyes, that this is a breakdown, at least for now. So far, it seems like that's the case. And we continued moving down, and we actually closed pretty much almost at the lows of the day. Well, not lows of the day, but not too far from it, right? On top of that, the RSI in the 1 hour, you can see it's just going down, 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 right? Even though Tesla's still technically all the way up here, like it's still, even after this move down today at 5.5%, it's still pretty high up. Like the stock price is still like near the peak, if you will. You know what I mean? But the RSI is just falling and falling, right? It's really showing that, again, I use the RSI as like a crystal ball, right? It's not telling me like, oh, this has to happen right here, right now. It's kind of like almost like looking into the future. It's like, what is the chart trying to tell me that's going to happen? You know what I mean? Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, things like that, especially in the 1 hour. It's a little bit shorter time frame, of course, right? So it'll happen probably sooner than like the daily. But essentially what it's telling me is that the momentum is definitely slowing down, that the bulls are running out of steam, the buying pressure is running out of steam, and then the bears are probably looking to start taking some control over Tesla here for now. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Same thing on the 4 hours as well, very important. This is what I want to talk about, right? So those are the two things, right? The RSI, even on the 4 hour, you can see just absolute collapse way back into this area over here, this little overall general box, essentially exiting oversold conditions, right? Which is potentially good, but again, even though it's all the way up here and RSI is already falling, it's a little bit interesting. Now, another thing to note, and this is on the 4 hour again, is that this second candle, again the 4 hour, don't forget each trading day it does produce two candles, right? 4 hours, right? Two 4 hour candles, right? This is the first one, this is the second one, right? Again, same thing here, right? If you kind of zoom out, you can see we have the overall teal line broke down below it on this massive red candlestick, pretty decent volume too. And then what happened is also on this 4 hour, we came back to retest. This time again, successful retest. Again, bad for the bears, or bulls, good for the bears. But it also developed a pretty hideous looking candle on this candle right here is quite ugly, right? This is just, this looks pretty bearish, I'm not gonna lie. This is not like, a good looking candle in my opinion for Tesla, right? So that's pretty bad. This is just a pretty much inverted hammer candle. So it looks pretty hideous. Just looks like the seller is just complete control over Tesla. So that's not great. The bull is just really running out of steam. At least that's what that's telling me. And the final thing, the major thing that, very important thing to understand and to talk about are the daily candles, right? As we go back in right here, these two major candles right here are essentially the bearish engulfing candles, as you can see right here, right? That's pretty much what that is, right? A bearish engulfing candle is essentially the red candle pretty much encapsulates the previous green candle. And that's kind of what's happening here. We had a nice, beautiful green candle yesterday. And now this red candle today completely, think of Pac-Man eating those little ghosts, right? It's essentially just this, the red candle is Pac-Man and this little green candle now, is the ghost. It's essentially completely encapsulating. It's like overshadowing, if that makes sense, this candle right here, which isn't good. That's also not a very good sign as well. So yeah, you want to be careful of that. These are, again, usually top signals. These are usually, signals that, we're at some form of top. Again, it doesn't mean Tesla has to just crash down back to 100 or something like that. But to me, all these four indicators that I just talked about, breaking below the teal line, the RSI looking overall weak, the candle in the 4 hour essentially being an inverted hammer candle, which is again pretty bearish, and the bearish engulfing candle on the daily, all signs, at least to me, at least as it stands right now. Obviously, yeah, we want to be careful and we'll explain that, but those are four signs in my opinion that are pretty damn bearish. Now, with that being said, of course there are some caveats, right? If there is a stock in the market, Tesla and NVIDIA probably at this point are two stocks that sometimes are, well, unpredictable to say the least. Sometimes they can really just do whatever the hell they want. In all honesty, that's just kind of how it is, right? For instance, this move right here is pretty much what I thought would happen right after this candle right here. Wait, was it this candle? I think it was this candle. I'm pretty sure it was this candle right here, right? Right when we had this candle, this red candle right here, this, in my opinion, should have been also a pretty, potential top signal. Instead, we just completely skyrocketed the next day, well past it as well, right? So that's something you want to be careful. Sometimes, even though we're setting, in this case, quite a bit of top signals, right? Like I said, about 4 in my opinion. Technically, with Tesla, we need to see fall through tomorrow. So if we continue moving down tomorrow, okay, then that's pretty bad. However, you want to be always, taking it with a grain of salt that if there is a stock that can just completely invalidate this just because it is Tesla. But again, it's always a probability game. To me right now, the probability of it going down, again, just my opinion, much, much higher than it continuing to go up, right? You also have, again, on the daily RSI pointing completely and utterly straight down and going below the median as well. Beautiful volume today as well. Pretty high volume, actually. Definitely one of the higher volumes we've seen recently, right? On this, substantial red day as well. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys, it's not looking too hot. Now, of course, the major question people are probably gonna be wondering, okay, fine, let's retrace, let's cool off. All right, whatever. Where do we cool off to? Like, where does this take us? Where do we go, right? That's, I'm sure, the major question rather people will be having. So you can either argue that the swing low is from down all the way over here at 152, or you can easily make the argument that it's all the way at 164. It won't make too much of a difference. We'll go from here first, and then we can also switch it to here. The ultimate target won't change too much because, the price range is, really close between those two bottoms. But nonetheless, the first level I'll be personally looking at, and the major level I'll be personally looking at, is pretty much going to be around 230. That's the major level. Not only is that the 0.382 Fibonacci, which again, wouldn't be surprised if Tesla gets some bounce there as well, but it's also going to be the gap fill at 234. So, kind of mid to low 230s will be the first major level I'll be looking for. But ultimately, I would personally be very happy and re-entering Tesla 220, maybe 215. And again, the reason I say that is because, again, it's most likely just going to be a retest of this ultimate breakouts, right? I mean, wow, this is a pretty ugly weekly candle. I mean, we still have 2 more days, of course, but if this weekly candle looks anything like this Friday's close, whoo-wee, man, that is a hideous looking weekly candle. So we'll see. There's still 2 more days, of course, but we'll see. Anyway, the reason I say that is because, again, it's going to be just nothing more than a retest of this teal line right here, this breakout, right? That's number 1. And number 2, again, like I said before, when we were rising up over here on the weekly candles, right? We got rejected several times, came back up roughly to that level, got rejected, even came back up here and almost got rejected again, showing, a bit of rejection signs on this candle right here, you can see, right? And then we finally broke above it. But in other words, what I'm saying is the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla, again, comes down to not only retest this overall area for the teal line, but also because this was a major area of rejection, or aka resistance, and now we retest that, reconfirm it as new support, and then I think from there, we go up, maybe potentially even higher. But that's going to be the overall levels I'll be paying attention to. The first level will be pretty much that gap fill of the mid to low 30 or 230s. And then, of course, potentially all the way down to, 220, 215, something like that as well, right? Those are the major levels I'll be eyeballing for now. Now, there is a small chance that we get, obviously, some bounces here and there. I'm not going to go straight down. I mean, we could, but I don't think we will. But, obviously, we could potentially come down to maybe around, 250, get a small bounce, right? Things like that might obviously happen. I don't think it'll just be like just one red candle straight down to 234. I mean, it could. I don't think it'll happen like that. But just keep that in mind. It is always a patience game, and then we'll potentially take a little bit of time before we get to those levels. It won't happen overnight because for some reason everyone always thinks if I say something it has to happen tomorrow. That is not the case. You need to relax. But all that being said, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think down below. I think we're in for a pretty wild rest of the month. And yeah, until tomorrow, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.